Can we get like a laugh track in here? Can we get just an arena of applause behind that? Can we get, no, but in all honesty, this is great student turnout. I'm happy that everybody's here. This is already more than we had last year, so that's awesome. You have 3 candidates for president this year. Tara Gurma, Catherine Greisinger, did I get that right? Yeah. And Kyle McLaughlin. Now with that being said, we're gonna get started. Now, would anyone prefer to start? Okay, Kyle will start. So we'll start off here with our first question. Kyle, when you think of the role of president in student government at Point Park, and maybe broader than Point Park, what do you think the roles are of that? What do you think that entails to be a president?
So I think a big thing for especially like student government president is to like really be like more of a guiding hand than anything, because being the job of president is always going to be more work than, like, there's going to be so much work. But I think in addition to that, you can't do it all on your own. So I think just being like a voice that stands out and makes sure to keep the governing body directed towards our goals is probably the most important thing to do.
Catherine?
Yeah, so I mean, I think what Kyle said, I think we've been lucky this last year because we've had a really great cabinet, and that includes Mark as president. I think he's done a phenomenal job, and I think a lot of what the president, anywhere, but especially at Point Park.
Yeah, mics are on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Mark is giving me.
Sorry,
Press the ball.
mics on?
Is it?
Oops.
Oh wait. Okay. Hey, what's up, guys?
Okay, there we go. There we go. Sorry, did everyone hear all of that? Okay, cool. Then we'll let you just be there with that answer and then pick up where you left off.
Yeah, so like I was saying, but I think a big job of the president is to advocate for the students, especially, we're all students. Student government is made up of students, but there's a lot of meeting with, people kind of above us and who are running in the administration and making sure we're bringing those student needs to where it needs to be heard. And that also includes working with the cabinet. So it's not just the president, it's the vice president, it's all of the senators, and they're kind of all doing the same job, which is advocating for the rest of the student body.
And can one of you pass the mic over to Tara? Thank you.
Okay, and I would definitely agree with Kyle and Catherine as well, because it's always been about the students who wanted to experience the life of being at Point Park, because as what Catherine and Kyle would be saying, I'm so sorry for my stuttering grammar, everyone.
That's okay.
I would understand, but I would agree that it's not really just about the president or a vice president. It's about all of us around Point Park, because we all want to, because mostly the vice president and presidents and everyone in the Student Government Association want to make a difference, because I think that we should all make a difference as to whatever kind of student, wherever we are, whether we are the kind of students that are more enabled and capable, and the ones that are disabled, like the ones who have conditions and disabilities.
Thank you, Karen. Now, we'll jump back to Kyle here.
I even added a graphic.
Kyle, what do you think makes a good leader? And what qualities do you think the president should possess? And we'll start with that.
I think it's a combination of like clarity of vision and like having a clear understanding of like what the school needs and what the needs of the student body are. But I think in addition to that, a lot of it is listening, because I think like student government, sure we stamp our initials on the club constitutions and approve funding, but I think more than that, we're kind of a voice for the student body, and like maybe that's not something that people have always felt with SGA, but I want that feeling of SGA as sort of like a student union, and like I think it's necessary to really listen to what people are going through and what people need to change in the future.
Catherine?
I mean, kind of echoing what Kyle said, it is a students' club, and it is kind kind of like a student union, and I hope all the students, especially those watching, know that student government, the legislative body meetings are always open to anyone. You guys can always come and watch, you can always come and voice your opinions, there's an open floor, and we'd love to have you, but that is an important part of being a leader and being in charge, is that you are listening. You do need to be a good listener, and you need to be an active listener, because as much as everyone here, and I think student government especially, I know a lot of people have issues that they care about, and that's great, and that's exactly what we need in the student government is people having those issues that they care about and they're passionate about, so they can start making change. But it's also advocating for maybe the issues that aren't as important to you, but they are important to other members of the student body, especially those that aren't represented in student government itself. So definitely, I agree, active listening, very, very important.
Well, I could definitely agree on this one. However, there are a lot of students who have really wanted to make things a lot more better in their lives here at Point Park. So most of the time, about over 60% of students have I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for my stuttering. But all this time, over 60% of students have experienced a lot of stress and a lot of craziness in their lives of what's going on in college. Well, and if that were to happen, they would try to go and find someone around the school that can help them. Like, there's always a lot of tutoring and a lot of accommodations from others. And what I think is that what I would say is that if students ever get overwhelmed and overstressed about any work that has gone from tests and assignments and projects, and if any of you ever experienced this, like stress and overworked around assignments and tests and projects or anything that is required, then I would definitely say reach out and be a friend and help them out. It doesn't have to be just tutors or accommodations. I wouldn't necessarily say that if you ever become this way. Like, for me, for example, I would.
Tara, just to let you know, we have to keep our minutes at 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You can keep going, but wrap it up in the next 30 seconds, I'd say.
Okay.
And Tara, I know you're last with these. If you ever need me to repeat a question, please just ask me to do so, and I'd be happy to repeat it. Kyle, what do you see as a realistic goal to get done in 1 semester, in 2 semesters? What do you think is a reasonable goal that SGA can get done, that students can get done? Because we hear a lot of things that people say. People have talked about the bus passes, even though Mark and this current administration were able to get that to us. That took a long time to happen. And so what do you see as something realistically that we could get done?
So I think what's important is to plan, like you said, plan small but not too small that's insignificant. One thing that I've been really interested in, if we're talking about like 1 semester, for example, is some more beautification efforts around campus, kind of make some of our communal spaces feel more opening, more decoration, maybe even like student-led decoration, because we're a pretty artsy school. Beyond that, I really want to increase engagement in and create opportunities for students to feel more involved in their community, whether that's through working with other clubs for more social events, or even through working with pre-existing clubs like Horn Groundhog, Students for Change, on potentially like food drives, things of that nature. I think well, obviously I might have some bigger goals that I would like to push for and even push to continue on that path. I think those are 2 examples of things that can be done more easily and more like tangibly.
Sure. What is a bigger goal? So I guess we'll modify. Like, what's a smaller thing? You get to mention that. What is a bigger thing that you would like to shoot for?
A bigger thing I'd like to shoot for is to, I guess, sort of shift the view of like the community of Point Park. I want to increase engagement, not just in student government, obviously, but beyond, and make it be more of a forum for student concerns. I really want, both through more official positions in SGA and also just through creating the spaces for students, more of a place for student concerns to be directed towards. 'Cause that's kind of, I think, the energy of SGA, even if it's not something that students have always felt they can take advantage of.
Catherine?
Yeah, so I mean, it's like you said, I know we modified that a little bit, but there's always a lot of things that we are working on, and even though you don't always see a tangible change, that doesn't mean efforts are not important. That bus pass that we just recently got, that has been in the works for 10 years, and it's really lucky that we have it now, especially because we are a majority of commuters on this campus. But again, you know, I'd also like to see more engagement, and I think you're going to hear a lot of echoing between Kyle and I. Actually, Kyle's on my committee, and we've been working towards the same goals. We're in the Student Innovation Committee, so all semester. So you're probably going to hear a lot of similar things, but it's really great that we're able to work together. But yeah, I mean, it is engagement that can come through beautification. It can come through more events, more accessible events for commuters, for different students. Point Park is a great campus, and we have a lot of different clubs on campus that I think people don't realize are really cross-disciplinary. You know, a lot of times you see the same schools in the same clubs together, and that's great, and I love that we have alleys for that on campus, and I love that we have places for students with similar interests to get together. But there's so much more that can be done. There's so much more of a collaborative effort, and I'd love to see students hanging out not just in class and not just in their clubs, but we have spaces like Friendship Room. We have a lot of places that people can get together, and I'd like to see a lot more engagement just within the community, within the student body. And then of course, as well as continuing on the recruitment efforts that Mark and his cabinet have done this past year to really grow SGA. This is the largest student government we've had in the past couple of years. Lots of senators, and I'd really like to grow that.
Tara?
I would definitely agree with Catherine on this one because we do need a lot more inclusivity in a lot of students. And I would definitely say that if they ever see newcomers come to Point Park, I would say just all you have to do is just don't be negative, be positive, and be a friend, and help them out and help them achieve their goals, just like other people have helped other students who have been here throughout the past years. Because for me, for example, I've always felt really alone, having not anyone around me, and most of the time, well, it just really makes me feel that I wish I had a friend, and it's not just me. There's a lot of other students with conditions and disabilities and disorders who felt lonely as much as I do.
Kyle, commuters are a large percentage of the student body population. That's a group of people that is, I would say, still, as of right now, the most neglected group on campus in terms of parking, in terms of getting to campus for events, right? I run into a lot of people as someone that does run a club, and a lot of times my events seem interesting to people, but I can't make it because I'm a commuter, I have to take a bus, gotta do this and that. We do have the bus pass, that's been a huge step. What would the next steps be in making the campus a more friendly place for commuters?
So I think there's a couple ways we can do that, but I think primarily more space primarily for some more spaces for commuters. We have a commuter lounge that I didn't know was a commuter lounge until this year. But on top of that, one thing SGA has been working on this year that I really hope to continue next year is increased access to tools like Adobe for people at home. And it's hard for commuters to come in and use our resources here when they're living 10, 20, even 40 minutes away. On top of that, I think to get more involved in the social aspect, the mic's working. To get more involved in the social aspect of college, I think there is a way that we can increase sort of the hybrid model in terms of certain events and club, especially SGA. have an option for those commuters who might not be able to make it, if for certain events, can maybe Zoom in or whatever or Teams in, or whatever the alternative is. Something so that they can feel more connected even if they're not able to make the long trip here to the school and then follow the bus passes.
Catherine?
Yeah, so you don't have to tell me twice about the issues about being a commuter. I'm a commuter myself. I know it is a pain. It is a pain to come to clubs, it's a pain to come to class, and it's a pain to come to activities that I'd love to do. Parking's a hard thing. The bus passes has been great, but there's a lot of areas that the bus doesn't reach. We have commuters coming in from kind of outside the bus radius, or it just takes too long for them to get here. So I completely agree. And again, you're gonna hear a lot of echoes because we're on the same committee, but that is something we've been talking about, is that hybrid model. And I think it's important to have venues like this in person for those students on campus, but giving them the opportunity to Zoom in. I know there's a lot of students who probably would be more involved in, let's say, student government, for example. I mean, it's hard for me to get to these meetings, and I want to be here, and I enjoy being here, but I know that if these were on Zoom, I would have a much easier time getting things done, reaching out to people. So that's one thing. And then also, we both learned about the commuter lounge, actually, from someone who was on our committee who was also a commuter, and that was one of the things that was her main platform is, hey, there's not spaces on campus for these commuters. We do have that commuter lounge, and it's actually in Lawrence Hall. It's often a lot of residents who are using that space. There's not a safe space for your stuff. There's not a place to hang out in between classes, let alone wanting to go to events later and you don't have a place to stay on campus. You can really go to the library or kind of hang out, but there's no centralized space. So that's something I would like to see. I'm coming from another university, and we did have a commuters lounge, and we had a whole commuter corner. We had lockers, we had locked rooms, and so that's something I would like to see. Point Park has the space, and I think utilizing that for students who need that, myself included. I think, Tara, you said you were a commuter as well. So just making sure that it is accessible, because that is a majority of students on campus.
Tara?
I would definitely agree with both Kyle and Catherine on this one, because even though all three of us are commuters, well, let's just say for me, I'm a commuter with a condition, as you could tell. But I would definitely say that we could provide more space for anyone who wanted to come here and enjoy this experience here around Point Park. And it's not just the ones who are capable of being here in Point Park. It's also the ones who have disabilities and conditions who want to experience it too. And Catherine's right that we do want to make things a lot more welcoming and friendly. And I just wanted to say is be reliable and don't forget to help someone out and help them enjoy this experience.
Yeah. Sorry, where was I? Here we are. So, Kyle, someone mentioned, I believe it was Catherine who mentioned that this is now the biggest SGA that we've had in recent years. How do you think that SGA is currently at its highest capacity in terms of sustainability and retention, and actually still being able to get things done while also making sure that as many students as possible can participate? Is there, a plan to continue expanding, or is there more of a plan to just simply retain what is now here?
So I first want to say Mark and Trevor and MC and Bracey and then Bova and every member of the exec cab has done a really amazing work. I've been at the school since my freshman year. I've been here 3 years now. I've spent the summers here. I've been on campus, and this is the first year that I've known what's going on with SGA and cared about it. And I want to make sure, and I do want to make sure we retain that. But I don't think that we have to go stagnant. I don't think we need to keep things the same. Something that I know, and I'm sure Catherine will bring this up too, because again, we've been discussing a lot of this. One thing that we've sort of been talking about is expanding some of the official officer positions. Maybe not exec cab paid positions, but giving senators specific higher titles that give them more of a specific direction of what their focus should be. And I think it'll raise retention, it'll raise people's interests, and I think a big issue with SGA so far has been sort of, you get your senators who want to be involved, they don't really know what to do. And I think giving them, more clear, specific tasks and clearer goals to work for, I think that's the way that we can keep growing SGA and keep making sure we do the good work we need to be doing.
Catherine?
Yeah, so like Kyle said, I'm going to expand on what he just said because we've been talking about this together for many weeks at our Student Innovation Committee meetings. Kyle is actually my vice chair, so I'm the president pro tempore, and I run the Student Innovation Committee. And he's been great to work with, obviously, as you can tell. But yeah, so one of the things I do as president pro tempore is I'm in charge of senator office hours. And we're trying to straddle that line between, making sure people are involved in doing their duties, but also that they want to be here. But I, often have a lot of the senators come to me and be like, I don't know what I want to do, or what I can do, or what I should be doing for my office hours this week. There's so much that needs to be done. What do you want to do? What can you do? What are you interested in helping? And of course, every meeting we have people saying, we're planning this event, we need help with this. So yeah, I agree, having a more direct position. So let's say, and I'm making this up because really the limits are kind of endless. Let's say you want to be the social media director. Well, we have so many senators, but they actually already have a communications committee. So you would be really interacting directly with the communications director, who then can report back at the executive cabinet meeting. So we kind of have a little bit of a hierarchy to make sure things are still running smoothly, everyone knows what's going on, but that way people do have direction, they do have interest, and it gives also students that leadership experience that I know a lot of people, that is what's bringing them to student government, and I don't think there's a right or wrong reason to be here, but if you're here for leadership, let's give you leadership, let's give you that opportunity to grow and expand and really just have that knowledge and the ability, so when you go into the real world, you know how to work with people, you know how to get stuff done, and that's kind of what student government is all about.
Tara?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
The question is, would your plan be to continue expanding SGA, or to try to, and Kyle did mention it, and I don't mean to say that you would want to just have things stagnate, but I guess in the sense that wanting to retain the senators that you have, build more relationships with them, getting a higher chance that they stay for a longer amount of time, would you be interested in doing that, or do you want to continue expanding?
I would definitely say I would like to expand the SGA a lot more often because, no matter if it's a president who's capable or a president who feels that they have something going on with them, but the best way that we could do is expand more office space and a lot more inclusive people in the office, because even though that there were people like Mark and Travis and everyone else that was in the Student Government Association, but I would definitely say there should be a lot more office positions included, and just so that they could make a lot more difference in everywhere in Point Park. And it doesn't have to be just someone who's capable or someone who just have conditions or disabilities. It could be anyone.
Thank you, Tara.
No problem.
Kyle. No, at any point, if any one of you would like to answer first, I don't want to put you on the spot. If you need time, just all you need to let me know. It's not, I'm not up here to get you with anything. I'm really not.
Got your question.
Right. So we have the biggest SGA in recent memory. We're doing a lot of work, and just briefly, and I don't mean to, I'm not gonna do this whole time, but I do want to give a round of applause to this current administration for all the stuff they've done. Mark and Trevor and everyone else has done a fantastic job, and in making this something. There are still a lot of students that don't know what SGA is, they don't know where it is, they don't know what you guys are doing. So how would you carry the momentum from this previous administration forward in increasing the visibility of SGA to people on campus, especially to commuters who might, because they're not even campus. I'm on campus a lot, and sometimes I'm not even sure. There are people on campus much less than me.
So yeah, I think advertising is kind of like could be the name of the game for keeping this on track. We have these SGA student Snapchat stories, and I'm sure plenty of you have seen it. They're usually for people talking about moving laundry over in the laundry room.
They're my favorite.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just aggrieved freshmen in Lawrence Hall, like so angry that the laundry flooded for the 5th time this month.
And they
It's
were
my
not
favorite.
traders. They'll get used to it. No, but we have that, and then we have there's a countless PPU Instagrams. There's like a PPU Spider-Man page now. We have these like, despite the fact that like I think there is a feeling of like we don't have as much community as we'd like. There are methods of communication where we all interact with each other, and I think using those to be like, hey, SGA meeting right now. Hey, this is what we're doing. Like, here's what our plans are. Come interact with us. And on top of that, as the president, here's a little behind the scenes for you. It's 10 office hours that the president is supposed to do every week. I want to encourage students to come to those office hours. I will probably be working for parts of it. I'll probably be doing homework for part of it. So give me something to do. If I'm elected president, I want students to be like, hey, can I come in and talk to you about, here's a concern I'm having. Maybe I'm worried about the way some interact with some students. Maybe have a problem with something at this school. Maybe there's just like an event I'd like to put on and I don't know what to do next. And I want people to know that like student government is not just like us sitting in a room like talking about club constitutions and then talking for an hour every day, like every week. I want people to know that like this is the body that they can go to when they have things that they want changed.
Catherine?
Yeah, so again, going off of that, we've done a great job, like you said, and again, congrats and kudos to the executive cabinet and all of the student government last year who really did kind of increase those efforts. We're not changing that, we're building on that. And they have done a great job. We do have things like the Snapchat story, we have Instagram, and actually just like this debate right now, all of our legislative body meetings are recorded thanks to the wonderful workers at UView, and they are put online. But just because we're giving students access to watch them, that's not really interactive, that's after the fact. So we are trying to get it out there, but we do kind of need more of that engagement in the meetings and with everything. And part of the thing we've been doing with the Student Innovation Committee, it actually used to be called the Students Concern Committee. They'd have these complaints. And we're kind of trying to rephrase that and refocus that as student innovation. So instead of just bringing your complaints about campus, and I know we all have complaints, and that's not just Point Park, that's anywhere you go. But really coming with more direction and what would you like to see change, what can help you, is so beneficial because like Kyle said, there are 10 office hours and we are working and we are advocating. So what would you like us to advocate for? I know you're unhappy with X issue. What can we do to kind of soften that? And at the end of the day, parking, for example, I can't buy a parking garage. I don't think any of us up here have the money to do that. But I can advocate, and what are some solutions we can have in the meantime while we work to get parking or whatever the issue is? What are things that can help kind of relieve that stress? And really at the end of the day, we're trying to make this campus more accessible to everyone, to commuters, to residents. If you have, things that you need that will make it easier for you on campus and as a student, that goes for anyone. Clubs, organizations, classrooms. So just making sure that we can be more direct in our approaches, I think is kind of the name of the game for next semester.
Thank you, Catherine. Tara?
Okay, so for the starts of every single ways of what we can do to make this a lot more official for everyone is that, as what Catherine mentioned, is that there are a lot of other ways that we can expand Point Park to make things a lot better. And it's not just for all the students. There are some students out there that want to experience Point Park as much as we all do. Like, when there's new freshmen around, they want to experience what it's like. Because I would definitely say that we should probably learn to be more inclusive and more reliable to the newcomers who want to experience Point Park as much as we all do. Because the best way that I could understand is, if I would be that person, I would try to make things a lot more inclusive for everyone, not just the ones that are capable, but just the ones that have conditions and disabilities and disorders.
When you look at we sort of briefly touched on this, so, if you've already kind of said everything you want to say, it's totally fine. It's kind of my fault for not getting this one sooner, but when you look at if you to pick top 3 issues that are facing students across campus, whether it be people on campus, commuters, all of it in general, what do you think students are really struggling with right now?
I think a big part of, one of the top issues I'd say is probably a feeling of, I guess security, and I think that can come in a variety of ways. I think, marginal. It's a scary. Not to get too soapboxy, but it's like a scary time. I think, and I think, especially like certain marginalized groups, definitely feel not as safe as they might. And I think some of the organizations we have around campus should be supported in trying to work on that. There's It's On Us is a new organization that's starting up that I think could use that. I think will be doing some good. There's the GSSA, there's the BSU, there's the different identity group organizations, and I think that's a big issue that concerns a lot of our students. And similarly to what Terry was bringing up, people with different mental health concerns or things of that sort that feel the need to have their concerns met. So I think that's a big concern. On top of that, I think there's the general social. It's the thing I feel like everybody has been saying for most of the SGAs in recent history. The social issue. We're a small school, and I think we really need to do what we can to get more. That bridge crossing. The bridge building. And then on top of that, I'd say I don't know. I think maybe just like a sense of pride for the campus, and I think part of that can be through sort of, like I said, beautification on campus, putting up art displays, new places to hang out. But I also think it's I'm not a big sports guy, but our sports teams, we just made we just made D2, I believe, in our basketball for our basketball team. We have all these different shows that are happening. We're a big theater school. And I think it's important to sort of build that campus pride and show all those different groups that they have our support. Catherine?
Yeah, so I think the 3 big general concerns for going into next year, but in general, is community, a sense of accessibility, and then really belonging and engagement. There's a student survey that goes out every year. I know you guys have probably seen it flooding your emails, and if you don't do it right away, there's always a follow-up email. And I think I got a text about it recently. But it's really important you fill those out. So that data is public. You guys can go on Point Park's website and look at all the data from the previous years. And one of the things we've seen a lot of it is, you rank it 1 to 10. In the sense of community and how happy you are with the campus, those have been some of the lower scoring things. There's a lot of things that have scored high, and I want to make sure we're kind of expanding on what Point Park is already doing well. There's a lot of times, we're here and we're complaining and we want to see this and that, but there's a lot of things that Point Park does right. I'm coming from another university. I know what worked and didn't work there, and so I kind of want to keep what works for Point Park, and I want to kind of fix what doesn't and kind of bring in some things that I've seen in the past that work. And I think a way to kind of bridge all that is engagement, and part of that is starting, like you said, with the freshman class that will be coming in. I want to do an activities fair. I want all the clubs to be there and kind of in one spot so students can go around and see. And it's not just for freshmen, it's for everyone. But if we can start to get that sense of community and that engagement and that feel with the freshmen so they want to be here, they're the ones who are going to be here for 4 years, some of them longer if they're master students like myself. So we kind of want to start with them and make sure they are kind of bringing that feel into campus from the beginning, and then we'll also be kind of opening it up to the rest of us because we want to feel a sense of belonging as much as anyone does, and maybe that's something we haven't felt, and I know for a lot of people it has been kind of coming back in person since we were, hybrid online a little bit, but we are a school, we are a college, we are a campus, and I think we should kind of feel that way.
Tara?
Okay, well, for me, I would say that the three big issues for what's happening at Point Park would have to be, well, I would also say lack of community, lack of reliability, and lack of inclusivity. Because what I think is that, sorry, these things push my hair a little bit. But anyway, what I would think is that a lot of things have gone a lot more irrelevant when it comes to some students out there who have felt that they have felt left out, or they want to be a part of these kind of activities and clubs or different other things as well. And it's not just people with no mental health or people with mental health. It's everyone around Point Park, because most of the time, if that were to be the problem, it wouldn't be just that problem. It's just that it would probably make a better impact on what we need to do to make them feel more inclusive as to things on what we can do for them. And as what Catherine would say, is that we should be a little more have more students engage in activities and other clubs to make them feel more inclusive as to what we can show we can do. And that's what I would think that this could be like for the future of Point Park.
Thank you, Tara.
No problem.
Okay. Kyle, what would your approach be to communicating with, I don't call it a new administration, with President Versailles? I guess we'll still call them new. What would your approach be to communicating with him? Because I do think that a lot of the times there will always be a little bit of a disconnect between the students and the administration. There will always be a little bit of a sense that those two groups are not necessarily on the same team. But I don't want to believe that that's true in every situation. So what would your approach be to communicating with them?
So I think it's really important that, like, I'm a big, like, anti-authority type of guy in my aesthetics, but I definitely want to, I want it to be clear that, like, we are a tiny school, and I think it's important to not, like, go right off the bat swing. Like, so this school has some of, like, the best, like, teachers and faculty and administrators that I've interacted with in probably my whole life, and that have really, like, changed the direction of my academic career. And so I think, like, we aren't going to get the things that the things that the student body wants changed if we go too hard, if we go, a little too aggressive, we go as fun as it is and as easy as it is to give into just like the rage of it all. I think it's essential to come at the administration from a sense of, like, this is what our concerns are, and they're genuine and they're real, and they're not something that can just be brushed aside. But it's also, we're not trying to, like, tear down the school, this is, and, like, we want to work together. We need to work together. I as one undergrad student cannot radically reshape the school just by pulling out a megaphone and yelling at Chris Brusalis, And I think it's important to work closely and intimately with the school administration.
Catherine?
Yeah, so like I said, this isn't my first university. I actually was pre-med at Gannon University, so a bit of a change in kind of career trajectory, but I'm happy here. first time working with administration of a higher education community, and I was really fortunate that the administration at my previous university did work well with students. But I don't think it's true that we don't have the same goals here. I think the administration and the students do have the same goals because Point Park is a tuition-based university, and we're lucky enough, Chris Brusalis has actually come to a couple of our meetings and talked, but I know money is kind of, at the end of the day, that's always the biggest issue, right? But in order to kind of bring in more students, we need to make sure that the retention of the students who are already here is there. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is by making things better for the students that are here and for the incoming students. So I don't think we have dissimilar goals at all. I think the goal is the same, and I think for us, yes, coming at it from, we're students and we want this, yes, and that should be what our goal is, and we should be up here advocating for that with the administration, and that's kind of been the point of rephrasing the student concern into student innovation is, okay, well, what can we do? What would you like to see? And being a little bit more direct with that and saying, this is what would make students' lives easier, this is what they want, this is what the students need. I think for anyone in higher education, that should always be at the forefront. And even though it doesn't seem like that, I think there are ways to make that get across, and at the end of the day, we do all have the same goal. It's retention, and it's making our lives easier, right? We're going to stay at Point Park if we like Point Park. We're going to attract students to Point Park if it's a university that is attractive. And so I think that's kind of the whole goal, and that is what we're working towards, is making Point Park better. And it's already great, and we have a lot of great things going for it, so let's kind of pick up the ball and those things that students do need, and I think that's really what everyone kind of wants at the end. We might have different ways of kind of getting there, but we all want the same thing.
Karen?
Okay, so in my perspective, there's so many things that we can do, that I could do to make Point Park a lot better, is that to include more access into the activities and for more inclusivity for the students who want to attend the clubs. But most of all is that, as what Catherine mentioned, we do want to make Point Park a lot better, and it's always just for everyone around here. And most of all, the best parts of what we can do is that we could include more access to the accommodations and include more accommodations for people who want to improve their success. And we should also make things a lot more easier and a little bit more of an actual time paced for the students who want to enjoy Point Park. Because for me, for example, I've always have been stressed most of the time as to what's happening in assignments and everything of what's going on. Because if I would have the ability as to include more things in life for Point Park, then I'm sure the newcomers would be able to experience that too.
Thank you, Tara. Kyle, this is something that, excuse me, this is something that Trevor Fitzsimmons has been very interested in, has always been transparency. That was a big part of his platform. It's something that I've always respected him a lot for. And this, again, may have been things that have been previously touched on, but I'm now actually getting to some questions from students here. So how would you, and you did sort of talk about bridging gaps between groups of students on campus, and I did sort of mention that there's always going to be that perceived gap between administration and students, but how do we increase the transparency coming from the administration? How do you increase transparency coming from SGA? Aside from all of the stuff that SGA has already done, which does seem like a lot, but what would be an expansion on the transparency aspect of SGA?
So I think and as you all might be aware, we currently work with the Globe, and they report on every one of our meetings, and we record all of our meetings and we send those out. But I think continuing to make sure that like people have an understanding of of like what conversations we're having with the administration as far as we are, of course, able to share, what we're working on, what SGA actually does, because I feel like there's a lot of people who like they know that student government exists, but they don't really know like what our systems are, what we're actually all about. And I want to make a big focus next year, regardless of what my position in student government might be, on really communicating with the student body, like what they can expect from SGA and what powers they have, I'll use this for a very quick example. Like, we do our one legislative body collectively, and that's where primarily we talk about funding and we talk about club constitutions. And then everybody is in a different committee with a different focus, and they do that for an hour, and then every senator separately from that has to spend at least 1 hour in their week doing something student government related. And that's really the bare bones of what it is. And like, that's not even something that I knew coming into student government. I just knew, it's student government. It's a thing I can sign up and people vote for me. But I don't know, I think it's important that like people aren't just like, I think it's important that people like know what's happening in these conversations and what these conversations are actually like related to. We're talking to the faculty, we're talking to administration. Our exec cab is doing a billion things that outside of their pay grade all at the same time. And I think I especially want to focus next year on sharing all of that with the student body more.
Thank you, Kyle. Catherine?
Yeah, so transparency, and Trevor did run on that, and he's done a great job, but transparency is important for any organization. And student government, like we've been saying, is kind of, for better terms, is kind of the middleman between the student body and the organization. So as much as we're saying we want to be here to advocate for the student body, we're also here to report on what happens with the administration to the student body, and we have been recording all of our meetings, and the Globe does touch on that, but to kind of further expand on what Kyle was saying, how the meetings go, everyone has reports. Senators have reports, the committees have reports, and the executive cabinet have reports. So whenever there is a meeting with the administration, or we have these kind of faculty committees, and you meet with faculty on once a month on whatever committee you're on. I'm on the graduate programming committee. So we go to those committees, and the executive cabinet, Mark and Trevor, go to these administrative meetings, and they bring it back to the meetings. Now, anyone's welcome to come to the meetings, but you can also watch it on YouTube. They record them. The Globe touches on them. So make sure, if you're not already doing that, I think it is really important that you do know what is going on. So you should be interested in what's happening with your university. So we are trying to be transparent, but that's exactly what kind of these measures are there for, and that's why I really encourage anyone, if you haven't come to a student government meeting and you're interested in all, what is student government, or I want to know what my school's doing, or maybe you're not ready to commit to being a senator, but you do want to just be involved, they're always open. And you can look on PointSync to see when they are, but I definitely recommend coming or watching back the video, because they've done a great job being transparent this last kind of cabinet, and we're just kind of expanding on that. We're continuing that legacy. I don't know why we would kind of go back on that now.
Tara?
Okay, so I'm sorry, what was the question again?
The question was, shoot,
Transparency.
oh yes, no, sorry, yeah, increasing transparency between students and the administration, and also SGA and students.
Okay. So for the administrations, it could have a big of an expansion for it as well, for the students who wanted to come to the administration meetings, because I would definitely say that most of the time students can encourage or bring it into the administration meetings onto what's going on, because maybe if they were a little bit more of of something about what's happening here at the school. And most of all, I wanted to say that Trevor and Mark have been doing really, really good as to doing the Student Government Association. And the best part is that they've really known what it's like to be a reliable and be more inclusive to other students, including the ones who have mental health issues. Like me, for example, when I first met Mark and Trevor, they really understood me as to what I really wanted to do, and that's running for a political office here at Student Government Association. And I would just say accept people for who they really are, even though anyone could attend the meetings, no matter what kind of person you are and no matter what kind of issue you have.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you all for that. That was wonderful. We're going to open this up now to any questions from the audience, and then we will get the vice presidents up here. So with that being said, I don't know, what's the mic situation like? Is there a mic down there for people in the audience, or should I? Okay, come here. How about this? I'll give up my mic, and I will. Should I? Okay, because I'm just gonna walk around. Okay, first question.
Hi.
Hi, Riley.
Hi, Kyle. I have a question for all three candidates. Do you have any ideas or policies that you would like to pursue towards sustainability initiatives on campus?
Yeah, so thank you, Riley. For those of you who have been watching our legislative body meetings or had the pleasure of attend, I can at least attest for Riley. One of the big things he's interested in is starting a solar panel initiative here on campus and really just making sure that we're sustainable moving forward. Now, I know that all of us up here, we don't have the funds to be able to just put them in ourselves. But that is one thing we are advocating for, and we are and we have talked with Riley, but there are ways that we can go about and start things and kind of get the conversation going. It's kind of like that bus pass. It took about 10 years to happen, but it did happen. So even if you're not seeing that tangible change, making sure we're starting and we're not relenting, because if that's an important issue to students like Riley, but to anyone, then let's make that happen. And we can advocate and we can try our best to get it started, but that's what we're here for. So not just sustainability, but any issue, like bring it to us and we'll start the conversation and come to the meetings and advocate for yourself, but advocate for the entire student body.
So yeah, going off of that, for those who know Riley, don't ask the question, solar panels have been his bread and butter since he joined student government. And if we could find a way to get that to happen, I would love that. But I think beyond that, I think just like focusing on partly education, but also, we don't have a compost bin. Let's get compost. Let's get recycling in the buildings that don't even have recycling like set up in them. Let's food. We produce a lot of food waste. Let's work with culinary. Get the excess food at the end of the day could feed who knows how many countless people who live on the streets 5 feet away from campus. I think while I would love net zero solar panels to be an inevitable future, and if anybody has their own expertise to bring to that, please come to our student government meetings. But I think in the meantime, I think there are smaller scale, tangible things we can do to achieve things like that.
And from what I just heard from Kyle and Catherine, as you can see here, well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for that amazing question right now. So the best part for me is when we see other students who have felt like they've been stressed and overworked on assignments and tests on anything that's happening right now. I would say the best part of what we can do is to be more reliable and be more inclusive, and don't be negative, don't be mean to others, always treat them with respect, because no matter if it's regular education or college or anywhere, we all deserve the respect that we need. And it doesn't matter if you have mental health issues or no mental health issues at all.
Thank you, candidates. Any other questions from the audience? From Frankie.
Hello, candidates. I always like to try to end a debate with a fun question. So if you guys were to be a holiday, what holiday would you be and why would you be that holiday?
Well, if I were a holiday, I would definitely I think I would definitely make it a celebrate, let me see, I'm sorry, I'm stuttering a little bit, everyone. So I would definitely say be more helpful day, because if I were that kind of holiday, I would try to encourage a lot of people out there, not just students in college, but everyone around, because there's a lot of people out there and a lot of students in college who have mental health issues as much as any one of us do, because I don't know about any one of you that do have any issues around, but I would definitely be that kind of holiday. And if you experience anything as to what's going on, then I would definitely be the kind of person, or anyone out there would be the kind of person to help you out and help you with your goals.
I'm gonna go way less important than that. Halloween, because I like dressing up, and if you see me around campus, I love wearing silly little outfits around. So I'm basically living in undergrad because Halloween.
Partially because it's.
I give you a dead mic.
Sorry, that one was dead. This might be because it's March, but International Women's Day just happened, and those of you who know me, I won't stop talking about it. But I mean, I think I don't want to get too kind of off my soapbox now. But I mean, I think that it's important to make sure that women's voices are heard, and I'm very thankful to the student government, because I think we've done a great job kind of with that. But I don't know, I just really like it. I celebrated this year at the Multicultural Fair, so lots of fun. You guys should go next year. So yeah.
Okay. And can we get some closing statements?
I'm gonna use this one. Okay, I think we're good now. Yeah, I really want this year. We've been making a lot of really good progress with student government, and I really think that this sort of just on the ground student organization is essential to do get anything done, to make the changes that we want to change. And we can complain about it to our friends, and we can wish the school would change, but trust me, I complain about this school, but I love this school. I've been at this school years now, and I'm planning on graduating from this school. Here's hoping. And I want this to be the place that we all want it to be. I want us to be living our Hollywood arts moment in this silly little liberal arts school in the city. And I hope all of you sign up for student government, and all of you help me make that happen.
Yeah, we're down to one mic now, but that's okay. No, I mean, I agree, and I know we've this wasn't much of a debate. We've really kind of been all agreeing the whole time. But it has been nice, and I've had the pleasure of working with Kyle this past year, and Tara. I hope, even if you don't win presidency, or me, or whoever, I would love if you would be part of student government, and I would love all of you here who are just here for the debate. You guys should join SGA. This is what it is, and thank you for the questions, but you guys can bring those all next year. I had the pleasure of attending the Ohio Student Government Conference just last month, earlier this month, and it was really nice talking to a lot of leaders from other organizations. And what I learned is, yeah, we all like to complain. Everyone likes to complain. Point Park is actually doing a lot better than a lot of these other schools in terms of the power that SGA has and really our presence. and so I really want to make sure we keep that going. And yeah, engagement is kind of my end goal. And I've been saying not just in student government, which I think is so important, but like on the school. I want this to be a place that we're proud of. I do want us to have our Hollywood Arts moment. And I do want us all to work together. And I think student government is one of the, I'm part of a lot of clubs on Point Park, and they're all great, but I think student government is a really special one, because there are students from all sorts of different schools and majors, and we're all interacting together and we're working together. I'd like to see more of that. It's not just once a week at a legislative body meeting, it should be everywhere. So I'd really like to see you guys in student government.
All right, and as for me, I would definitely say that if you are a student who feels overwhelmed and overstressed, anything that is happening here at Point Park or anything else, or whether you see a new student come to Point Park, I would say just learn to be more reliable, be more inclusive, and be a friend, because everyone deserves to feel happy and be more inclusive here at Point Park. And we should be more, and we should always learn to work together, because as for me, as what you heard from the questions here that we had to do, the best part is that, well, yeah, just if you ever feel left out, then I would believe that SGA is here to help you feel that you are what this is about. And I would say just be a friend, and be the best person that you can be. Have confidence, and no matter if you have autism, schizophrenia, or whatever mental health issue you have, just be positive and be yourself.
Thank you. Those are your presidential candidates. Woo. And we wish them well. With that being said, now let's get our vice presidential candidates up here. For part 2 of our debate, in which we mostly agree on the things that need to be changed. All right. Huh? Oh yeah, mics. Yeah. What's going on with the mics here?
Hello.
Oh yeah, they might be muted. Yeah. Does it work?
Yep. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
It should.
It do work.
Did it sound
Oh.
I can't really change the audio. It's ranging because of that. I tried using that to monitor.
Are we still
because
rolling?
there's 2 monitoring.
Is this still good? Okay, I think we're still going. So, Dylan Peterson. Christian Rangel. Okay, cool. We gotta understand this so part of getting names wrong. Okay, welcome to the stage, both of you. Thank you for doing this.
So like it might look.
That is, you guys know now you gotta follow up. You gotta follow up that. So I guess we'll get started with vice presidenting. Well, who would like to start first of all? Would either one of you like to start preferably? Okay, we'll start with Dylan, because you're on the other end of the thing now, so we'll just for the sake of that, I guess. So, what do you think a vice president is? And what do you think the roles are with that? And maybe what is a vice president not?
Okay, that's fairly broad, but I think that a vice president, similarly to what they were saying for president, is just like not only a right hand man to the president, but also a guiding force for everybody. Specifically in student government, I think that not only running our meetings, which is a critical and arguably one of the most important parts of what we do, but they also, help out with creating new committees, new initiatives, as well as guiding the initiatives of our senators.
Christian?
Yeah, I think I think the vice president's very involved with everything whole functionality of SGA itself, you know, the meetings, and especially the talks with administrations. I know Trevor and Mark they're together in their meetings with Chris and everyone else. But yeah, it's a very important role. I do see SGA officers' roles as very fluid and dynamic, so it can change with each administration, but I do want to keep the role pretty much the same, but not in that way, but like keep it going as powerful as it is right now.
Now, I guess, so Dylan, what do you think some of the challenges were, and maybe some of the challenges that are currently facing this current administration, and what plans would you make to get around some of those problems? If you want to list specific examples, that would be fantastic. But I don't want to put you on the spot, so again, it's not.
With our new administration, you know, we are kind of working almost from the ground up, and specifically, like for me, I know I've been working with the DEI committee task force at the school that is helping implement that into our new plans as well. And I think it's going to take a lot of navigation for us right now, especially as the student government, to understand the goals of our administration, understand how we can meet those with our student innovation that we are working towards. I think that we are facing a lot of challenges right now, like financially as a school. I think we all understand that, and I think that that's been a big concern for our student innovation, for the things that we're looking forward to. And I'm interested in bringing those things to the administration and hoping to work with them with their views, and still making this an important, critical space for our students, as we are the consumers here. We are the ones that should be determining whether or not this school is worth our time and money. And I think that it's going to be difficult bringing that to our administration, but it's critical, and I think that listening to them is critical as well.
Christian.
I think involvement's a big one. I mean, with every club in the school organization, involvements and engagement with the student body is critical. I love the work that Mark has done in bringing a ton of new people to this administration. Of course, we have a lot of seniors on exec cap, so they'll be leaving us, but we have a lot of senators that are going to step up, hopefully one of us. Yeah, I think not only getting more students involved in SGA, but getting more students themselves involved, just as like students.
And so, sort of piggybacking off of what you just said there about a lot of senators leaving the executive cabinet. And admittedly, as someone that doesn't pay attention to student administration as much as I should, I will admit that. How do you think we cultivate a culture within student government that does keep bringing in new people that will stick around for a long time and that will be dedicated to the point where SGA can continue to grow? What do you think needs to happen, and what do you think needs to, I guess, continue to happen to keep bringing in motivated, dedicated people?
Yeah, and I think that Catherine and Kyle, and they talked about this a lot, as it's been something that we've been discussing a lot throughout our meetings. But one critical thing that we want to do is expand senator positions so that there is more guidance for people that are already set up here. And that doesn't mean they have to stay just within those boundaries, but that may help people with their guidance and their influence in the student government itself. As well as that, I know that we have a lot of passionate students that are in this government right now who are interested in bringing new faces and interested in expanding our exposure as a student government. And whether that be through events, an activities fair, a club fair, anything like that, I think that sharing what we do, like as Kyle touched on quite a bit, and understanding our roles and functions, and understanding that if you play a role in student government, you can bring your initiatives, you can bring the things that you want to see changed, and we are here to help you and guide you through the ways to do that. We're not here to tell you that you have to stop. In fact, I would rather you not stop. I would rather you keep pushing, and I think that the most important part of this is to bring new faces in, understand our role, and keep our strong, passionate body that we have right now.
Christian?
I want to keep SGA and the meetings productive as they are, but I do also want to introduce more creative, fun, engaging ways to like give the senators in the executive cab. I want to pretty much give them a reason to stay and give their ideas.
Maybe like a dunk tank. Like
Exactly.
you get to put the president in the water if you like if you like pass something, maybe like fun stuff like that.
Loud and correct buzzers, courtroom sketches.
Yes, no, I fully agree. I love that. I think that would get me to stay if I was a senator. I could, that kind of thing. Okay, with getting back to a more serious train of thought.
But keep it productive.
Well, of course, it always has to be productive, but we can have a little fun too. You can do both. What do you think? What do you think the process should look like for training senators? Because these senators are representatives to the student body. You do ideally want to, see your student government senators out there on campus, getting input from students and that kind of thing. How do you train people to be able to be better representatives for the student body?
Yeah, I think that it's terrifying to think about being thrown into such an important role without having any guidance from the people that do at that time. I think that a key point to our senator training is going to be bringing them in with open arms, letting them know the responsibilities and why they're critical to keep those responsibilities, but to also, as you were saying, keep it fun and keep it enjoyable and make sure that people come in here understanding their roles and the roots of it, but that it's really based off their passions and their foresights for the future of the institution.
Christian?
I remember my senator. I would say I learned more about the job doing the job, but yeah, I think we could definitely introduce some new ideas. I mean, maybe have like a PowerPoint night, feature all the exec cab ideas, see what because each officer has a different perspective of what SGA does, so give each and every perspective a new way to learn. That'd be pretty cool.
And what do you think? So again, I briefly touched on this earlier. I think it's easy to, Kingsbury is such a small school, it is easy to kind of get big ideas, and it's easy to, of course, you want to be ambitious, that's obviously something you want, but when a senator comes to you with ideas, when they come to you with input, how do you gauge how reasonable these requests are? How do you gauge how doable some of this stuff is, and then how would you be implementing that and using that senator input to get stuff done?
Yeah, I think it's kind of difficult sometimes to tell people that maybe things aren't super achievable immediately, but I don't think that thing, we go back to the bus passes we were talking about, that took over a decade to get that to happen, but relentlessness is critical, I think, and I think that there's no request that I think is a wrong thing to bring to people. And I think that absolutely, solar panels is not a crazy idea, right? I don't think that at all. And I think that, if you spit back in somebody's face that it's just not going to happen, then you're not keeping them engaged with the role that they're here to do, and their input as students here is critical. So I think that gauging maybe small steps and creating a formal plan for things and understanding and staying on top of deadlines and bringing this to the people that run the school and bringing this to our administration, even if they say no, we can go back, we can replan, we can reset this. If things take a long time, we're here to set the building blocks for them to happen in the future.
Christian?
Yeah, I'm not omnipotent. I'm not all-knowing. I don't know what's happening in the school 24/7. I want student feedback. I think we did a good bit of that with the surveys we did this year. My field is data analytics, so I want to utilize that to get data from all different sources of the student body, whether it's athletics, School of Com, COPA, whatever. I want to highlight different issues in that and also give different student feedback. I want to validate every student feedback we get. Maybe put in like a little Google slide sheet, or is it slides? Or sheets, Google Sheets. Yeah, maybe prioritize it a little bit, but every complaint we should be able to get through. And I want to show them the results of their complaints. Like, you can put a complaint in one of the little boxes, but you never know what's gonna happen. So I want to give them something to look forward to.
Dylan, what is your overall mindset in handling disagreements within SGA specifically, but then also, I guess, in the broader context of life? And that's maybe a bit of a big question, but my thought is like, how does a conflict get resolved within SGA, whether it's between senators, between students and senators, between really any group of people?
I know it's kind of a lame answer, but the real answer is compromising. Like, everybody is coming to us with a valid and critical opinion to what we do here, and I think that disagreements are healthy, especially in our type of organization. I think that we would not function the way that we function if we didn't have these disagreements. But ultimately, I think meeting people, understanding what each perspective is, and coming to form a common ground between the two is always the best place to find disagreements being resolved.
Christian?
Yeah, sometimes I think disagreements are good. It's healthy. It definitely adds some energy to some of our meetings. But at the end of the day, you just gotta have empathy. You gotta empathize with the person in front of you, and you gotta wear their shoes. You gotta understand them and compromise.
Now, this is the thing that we talked about with the presidential candidates, but student people, so we're gonna go through some of the same ones. When you guys look at the top, excuse me, when you look at the top 3 issues facing Point Park students, what do you guys look at? What do you two look at?
I'd say that one of the top things that's on my radar, at least, is mental health, and just having resources for that, and for students to understand what those resources are. And you know, we are a small school with a lot of different groups of people, a lot of people that face different challenges, and as Kyle brought up, you know, it's a hard time in the world right now, I think, for a lot of people in a lot of different groups. So I think that creating inclusivity and bringing people together and engaging with one another to talk about those things, not just in relationship to mental health, but also just to bring a sense of community. So I think those are 2 top things for me. And also just recognizing what's happening with our student body, recognizing what their wants and needs are, and our ways that we can push that to the people that can really make that happen is on the top of my list of things to do.
Christian?
Yeah, I was going over my ideas and they kept slipping away. I would say one is, lack of student community. I think that is crucial. We should always work towards that. Also, I see a lot of maintenance issues, like facilities going awry and things like that. So that's always good to keep up on. And then, lack of community resources. I know the presidential candidates talked about this a bit. I was kind of mad because I was thinking that was a big thing for me, but we have like no commuter lounge or resources. The ones we do, I know we have lockers on the 4th floor of academic hall. That makes no sense to me. I don't want to walk up 4 flights of stairs or in the elevator.
I did not know that there were
a lot of people don't even use them. I think I might have been like one of the only ones last year. But we don't have a commuter lounge. They can call whatever that is on Lawrence Hall a commuter lounge. It's not. it's a Lawrence Hall resident lounge, but yeah, I think a dedicated commuter space for a majority commuter school makes a lot of sense, and we should start looking into ways of doing that. Like, just at least put lockers in maybe the lobby of Academic Hall, because, yeah, that'd be a big step.
And how do both of you balance all of the stuff that you do? Class, whether or not you work jobs, and then also being involved in student government. That's a lot to balance. And I have none, by the way. Like, I don't understand what work-life balance is, so if you two can tell me, if you guys can tell me how to do that, that would be great.
I'm not the guy to come to. No, I'm just kidding. But I think that balance is really difficult, but I mean, it's difficult for any student regardless of what they're doing. I mean, almost everybody I know has a part-time job and is a full-time student, and that doesn't even graze the surface of their level of their types of responsibilities that they have. But I think that, like, realistically, and as annoying and lame of an answer as it is, it's time management, understanding what you need to prioritize, having passion for the things that you're pursuing so they don't feel like they're dragging on, and making sure that you can line up your responsibilities and still, like, support your own mental health, make sure that you're in the positions and level your priorities based on your needs.
Christian?
Use a calendar. I like marking my calendar. So I use that Notion calendar, and that's pretty good. So yeah, it definitely keeps me on track. My thoughts can be everywhere at once sometimes, and it feels like there's so much stuff to do and so little time, but just keep digging away at, like, even the simplest things, like get one task done at a time. It can go a long way and get you the ball rolling of your productivity.
And take breaks.
Yeah,
Please take breaks.
Rest is important.
That's an interesting point that you both brought up, is that it does seem like everyone at this university is working a job, like working 2 jobs, we're doing all of this stuff. Do you think that is playing a part in maybe the reason why a lot of students aren't as involved with student government as they would like to be? And I think just in general with clubs, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe last year every single club on campus reported retention issues, reported membership issues. So it's kind of something that seems to be university-wide, and that's a pretty big problem. I would never, like, pin that on any of you, but do you have any ideas on how we could alleviate that? How you could alleviate the need for students to do so much to feel like they, to feel like they're keeping up and to feel like they are putting themselves on the path for success? Because to me, some of it seems like it's a bit unnecessary.
I absolutely think that, like, how busy everybody is a massive, if not the biggest piece of why we're seeing retention fall in every sense and across everything. But I mean, there's not much we can do about that. We're all kind of stuck working and paying our bills, you know? But I think that one of the major ways that Catherine and Kyle and I have all talked about trying to bring more in, especially in our majority commuter school, is creating things that have the opportunity to be hybrid in a hybrid sense. Obviously, you can't exactly zoom in from work, but if you are maybe at home or doing something else and you're interested in what's happening, just to make it known that you would have been there if you had the opportunity, or just to get the chance to get part of those materials and that information that's being shared in whatever you're zooming into may be. But I think that that is at the top of our list of making sure that we can get people to be more engaged, even if they don't have the opportunities to be here physically.
Christian?
Yeah, I struggle with this question. It's a tough question because I've been there. I've been that student. Last year, I didn't know anything that was going on. I'm surprised I voted in the election. I just kind of won it. Sorry, Frankie. But yeah, I think it just boils down to awareness. If you can try and get students aware of what is happening, what the opportunities they can have. Like, the only idea that would have like caught my attention is, I mean, not everyone does, but I listen to my professors, maybe like make the professors aware, and then trickle down to the students, I guess. But other than that, more advertising, and yeah, it's a tough question.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lay down a super heavy question like that. I expect you both to have an answer, but that's something that I've thought about a lot. I kind of view that as, I do view that as one of the bigger problems that students are facing in terms of being able to engage with campus life, is that everyone does seem to be so busy. But let's jump tracks a little bit. Realistic goal, whether that be one semester or a whole academic year or both, what do you guys think could get done?
So I know that recently we've been trying to compile, similarly to the student resource guide, one that specifically focuses on mental health resources, not just here on our campus, but also outspread further into the world and in our city. But I think that creating some kind of mental health force in SGA specifically that can focus on the needs of our students is something that can be done fairly quickly, and compiling that resource guide could definitely happen in less than a semester. And as far as bigger goals, I think that it's achievable, but it's going to be difficult is engagement, and I think that, that's kind of what we're talking about a lot up here. And I think that advertising, which is something that can absolutely happen in less than a semester, and pushing our marketing so people understand the things that we're doing, and get the opportunity to come and create that community and create those friendships, and maybe have access and interest in the organizations and clubs and other types of student engagement we have on campus is a goal that is definitely achievable, but is going to take a lot of manpower behind it.
Christian?
I think my commuter cubby initiative, I just came up with that now, is pretty reasonable goal to achieve. I was also thinking of setting up pillars for students to put up their own portable hammocks, but I don't know how achievable that is, but that's an idea. And just more lounge space like that, beautify the campus, set it up so it's a nice place to be. Yeah, other than that, I know the resource initiative is pretty big.
Okay. And in terms of, this maybe sort of goes along with the question about disagreeing that I asked you guys earlier. What would your approach be to holding the president accountable for really any situation, I guess, things that they have not done that they were supposed to do, or things that they did they weren't supposed to do, anything along that area? How would you approach holding the president accountable?
Well, I think that the vice president is the perfect person to take that position. And I think just honestly, if the president and the vice president could create a schedule together to make sure that everybody's on top of things, and honestly open communication between everybody in the executive cabinet and the legislative body to understand what the president's doing, the things that they are supposed to be on top of, and making sure that when we discuss those reports in the legislative body meeting, the legislative body's understanding of the role the president has played, the things that they've stayed on top of, and is aware about whether or not that they have stayed on top of those roles.
Christian?
You get to know a lot of stuff that you wouldn't otherwise if you're not an SGA. And yeah, I think transparency of that is a big thing. The Globe could help in that. But yeah, transparency.
Okay. Now, what are your proudest accomplishments, your proudest moments this year in SGA? And I guess I'd also be curious, Dale, what are your proudest moments personally, and then also what are you most proud of overall that SGA has been able to get done?
I'd say for me personally, like recently, as in like a few hours ago, I got accepted to grad school to do the 4+1 program here. So that would probably be pretty high on my list of achievements right now. And just coming to college in general, you know, I didn't think I was ever going to be here, and now I'm going to have a master's degree. So that's crazy, and we won't get much more into that, but that's a big achievement for me. Personally, throughout SGA, I'd say that the resource guide that we created has been extremely helpful, and distributing that to students through our tabling has been helpful. I've heard directly from students themselves that there are offices on this campus, there are resources on this campus that they didn't even know existed before we created this and started distributing it actively. And so I'd say that was a very achievable and huge achievement at the same time. You know, it was not a difficult task, and it's changed people's perspectives and their understandings of what we have on the campus. On top of that, on a bigger scale, I'd say we attended our first annual Ohio Student Government Summit this year, and that's something I definitely want to keep going. I gained a lot of knowledge from that, and I know that it's not just me, it's everybody that attended. And I think that is a huge achievement for our student government to be able to have those connections, understand the roles that happens in other institutions, and to be able to bring that knowledge back to our student government and plan ahead with that.
Thank you, Dylan. Christian?
Oh yeah, unrelated, but I love that idea. I know Dean Palo brought up that idea of having like a Point Park being a center of student government organization collaboration with the many schools that are in the Pittsburgh area. So we could collab with like Pitt, Duquesne, whatever schools are there. I know
Carlo, there's yes.
Because why not? They have student governments. We can collab. We can piggyback. We can straight up copy whatever they're doing. If it benefits us, we can share what we're doing. If it benefits them, and meanwhile, we can be the center of attention and bring Point Park more to the center of attention within the area. I know that was unreal. What was the question?
Is proudest accomplishments
My proudest accomplishment
in SGA.
SGA.
Yeah, and then also, I guess something you personally worked on, and then also overall what SGA has been able to accomplish.
I won the Golden Gavel. No,
That's fine.
I'm joking. But a big thing that comes to mind is the IT initiative. We worked with Tim a lot with that. I think we got a decent bit done, but of course there's a lot more that needs to be done, and I definitely can want to continue that effort. With SJ, I would say running for VP is a good one. I don't know. We did a lot this year. I did a lot. I forget.
That's okay. All right. This is we'll do one more question here, and then we'll go into closing statements, and then we'll open this up to the audience. This is my final question. What advice do you have for young people? What advice do you have for freshmen that are just coming in, that are trying to figure out this crazy, wacky, wonderful place? It's like so crazy when you first get here. I feel like it's kind of difficult to maybe land on your feet. So what advice would you have to them to help them stick that landing and figure out Point Park and become the next president of student government or something?
Godspeed, honestly. Like it is a rough world out there. We all have a lot going on. We're all really busy people, but this is a beautiful campus. We have a lot of opportunities here that people don't even recognize our opportunities. And I would say you can come to us, you can come to our meetings, you can come to anybody in our organization and other organizations. We hope to put on events where you can find out what your opportunities are here, and do not hide in your dorm room. I know it is hard to not, but you can explore this campus. It feels small, but there are a lot of people here with a lot of big personalities in a good way, and a lot of positive insights for expansion here. And you are here, you're gonna be stuck here for at least 4 years, you're paying money to be here, you need to enjoy yourself here, and I think that anywhere that you can find your footing is the right place to be.
Thank you, Dylan. Christian, advice for young people.
That's great advice. This really is such a diverse school with a vibrant community. I mean, attending events and opportunities is key. I love going to things that I have no business going to. I love attending pitch meetings. I love going to random clubs. I love joining SGA, even though I didn't know what it was. I love all that stuff. Even the CPA I just show up to. It's all criminal justice majors, and that looks like me. It's cool that opportunities like that exist, especially because we are such a small school. Like, it's so accessible. Like, you can do anything. And as a freshman, I mean, I didn't really come here. I did as a freshman, technically, but technically I'm a transfer. I transferred in the spring semester, and one thing we could do is spice up the orientation for transfer students, because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was terrible. It was bad, but yeah, do everything you can to get involved.
So to get out of your dorm, go touch grass.
Yeah.
Please touch grass.
Fake it until you make it a little bit. You gotta do that sort of. All right. Well, then I'd love to get
Don't let them know your next move.
Yeah, there you go. All right, I'd love closing statements from you both, and then we'll open this up to the audience and get questions from them.
I mean, for closing statements, I am a known yapper, so I'm going to try and keep it brief. I have a lot of ideas, and I have a lot of great people here that know what they're doing, and I would love some more. So if anyone would like to come join SGA, that'd be amazing. It doesn't matter who's running it. There are a lot of people with beautiful ideas, expansive ideas, and you are one of them, and you're capable of coming and joining, and I hope that you understand more of the role that we're going to play, and I hope that we can be more transparent with you in the future.
Christian?
Yeah, a lot of the ideas that I come up with don't come to fruition, but just know I'll be working on them. Yeah, I never thought I'd see myself right here, right now, but you never know what opportunities come to you. So, yeah, enjoy it.
Very nice. My mic was off. Thank you both. Closing statements. That was very nice. Questions from the audience. Trevor Fitzsimmons has a question.
As Vice President of the student government, how would you handle internal disputes and issues within SGA, such as attendance, committee assignments, and just overall internal matters within the student government?
Thank you, Trevor.
To the gulag. Immediate. No. I think it's important to give them at least like a warning, but have a guideline, like set a standard, a precedent for all senators. Like, we can be lenient and fun, but we do have to be productive, and it is necessary that you follow the guidelines and constitutions. And yeah, just set precedent for all senators.
Christian?
That was Christian.
Thank you.
But no, I mean, Trevor is so good at his job, and he is way too nice about it sometimes, and I think that honestly, he knows what he's doing, and he is going to provide good guidance to whoever takes this position to handling this. But ultimately, I think that being lenient is a beautiful thing, and people deserve that leniency, and opening those lines of communication, saying why weren't you here? Is there something going on? But ultimately drawing a line in the sand and saying, we are an organization, we're here to be productive, we're here to be doing critical work, and I think that it is our job as whoever is on executive cabinet, specifically the president and the vice president, to make sure that we keep our guidelines and that we understand that, and the people in our legislative body understand that what they're doing is important and their attendance is important, and their follow through with everything that they're doing, following the guidelines of what we have is critical.
Thank you both. Thank you, Trevor. Other questions? I saw a hand over here somewhere. Is that hand still up? Frankie has another question.
Why the oh no? No, it's time for the funky fun question. All right, y'all. If you were to be a food, what food would you be and why?
Passion fruit because I'm allergic to it.
Good answer. Christian?
Tacos.
Yeah.
Bread. I don't like pizza.
But you are sponsored by Genoa's.
That is true.
That's
They
crazy.
know that.
Sorry, I might have misheard this. Can I get hear both of your official statements on pizza?
So good, I love it, delicious.
Depends.
Okay, Mark has a question. I have to walk over. Oh, sorry. Okay, Tara. We'll go Tara first.
Okay, this is gonna sound a little bit general, but let me see. Okay, let's see. If you were a flower, what would you be?
Yeah,
I
flower.
immediately thought of a rose petal, but like that's not really a flower. That's a petal. But dandelion. Is that a flower?
I think that has a flower. It has a flower, doesn't it?
I'm gonna go with daisy that they stuck in dye to make it a different color.
Good answers.
Is lily a flower?
Yes, it is.
Are there different types of lily? What's the best lily? I go lily.
Question from Mark.
Hello. My question is twofold. The first part is something that I was pretty proud of is I started working in the summertime to prepare for the whole year. So that means I got my cabinet together and they were all finalized before summer was even out. Meaning we were able to do training in the summertime and have everything planned out, what we want to do, be very specific with the goals we want to accomplish, and then go from there. So we didn't start the year out that way. So I am wondering if either you can say that you will be here in the summertime to be able to, because that time, I'm telling you, just from experience, from my experience, is extremely beneficial to be able to go forward and do the things you want to do. So are you able to stay in the summertime and have that extra time to be able to nurture? And the second part, which is completely separate, is what do you think about the Bison book bundle? It's that $375 fee. I'm curious if you like it, if you don't like it, because, you know, yes, people can opt out, but I'm curious if you think it's beneficial for most, a bit, twofold of that, business model side of it, and also student side of it. So, I know, it's a lot, but yeah.
Yes, I will be here in the summer. I'm not going anywhere. I call this campus my home, and I'm stuck here until they won't have me anymore. But other than that, I think that the book bundle is a really good idea, and I know a lot of students that have suffered financially and had to take cuts in certain things or overwork themselves in order to afford their books, their labs for these classes. I know students that have had to cut classes because of the expense of their books, so I think that absolutely any means of helping that is critical, and I love that there's an opt-out because I know a lot of us be using those PDFs. I get you, and please keep doing that. But also having this opportunity to be able to, and I understand it from a business perspective as well. But if we can have this option and students get to decide whether or not they think that this is necessary for them, I think it is a beautiful thing that we should keep pushing and make sure it keeps set in place in the future.
Thank you, Dylan. Christian?
Yeah, I'll be here. I live here.
Pittsburgh is our campus, right? That's what they tell me.
And it's been my campus my whole life. So unless I'm going on a 3-month impromptu vacation, I'll be here. I will be working. Yes. And the book bundle. I think it's advantageous for people that need it. Definitely, it's a great opportunity if you are spending over was the cap
$375 fee.
Yeah. So of course, if you're spending more than that, it's beneficial for everyone. I've never been on that end, but I definitely think it would be good, especially the opt-out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. Any other questions from the audience? No? Okay. Thank you to our vice presidential candidates.
Thank you.
Dylan Peterson and Christian Engel. We wish them well. We wish them well. Push the bottom. Yeah, push the bottom on the mics there, guys. Oh, wait, we do have a question. Riley.
Heads or tails?
Heads.
Okay.
Head.
Oh, this is
Tails.
for your vote? I would love for you guys to compete for my vote. I should have made challenges.
We can play rock, paper, scissors.
Oh yeah.
I forgot about that.
I lost, guys.
How about let's spin a wheel.
The decision has been made.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you taking your time. I know this was not a short amount of time for you to take out every day, so I really appreciate it. Thank you all the candidates one more time. Voting will be taking place next Monday, the 25th through the 29th. It'll be a whole week of voting. You will see them around, campaigning. You'll see these little flyers around, and we'll be pushing it on our social media at SGA_PPU. Thank you so much again.
Please
have a
vote.
great day. Thank you so much.
Vote in the real election too, please.